So recently I made a video say ranking all Hive games as I have recently got into playing Bedrock Edition using Hive. And in that video, second last, I put Deathrun. Now I went back to Deathrun obviously before I made the video to see what place I should put it. And that game I played, I didn't really enjoy. So it makes a lot of sense that I put it low. But now I'm not so sure. I've been going back to Deathrun recently and playing it a bit more just to investigate really why I put it so low. Because I'm not sure why I did put it so low. I generally think it's actually one of the funnest games on the Hive. And at the end of the day, I gotta admit, I was wrong about Deathrun. Now, something I talked about in a lot of the higher up games is something I really enjoyed was the element of strategy. You know, I talked about block drop strategy for probably way too long that it deserved. And I too still really enjoyed the block drop strategy. But now I really like the Deathrun strategy. And I think the Deathrun strategy is actually maybe more cool than the block drop strategy. And here's why. Now, Deathrun is a really interesting game, and how the game goes normally fully depends on how good the death is. If you have a death who has no idea what they're doing and just keeps trying to race the players to the next checkpoint, can't use the arrows, then you're basically fine, because the death is not going to beat you. And at the end of the day, you can keep running through all of those traps because he isn't activating any of them because the death is too busy caught up with trying to catch up to you. However, if you've got a death that knows how to play the game, you have to play the game differently. At least that's how I feel. If you've got a death that is targeting in particular, or you've got a death that is like, how do I put it? A death that knows what they're doing. For example, here, in this situation, it's better that I wait for the death to use the trap, because once the death uses the trap, it's not going to be a problem. Something I'd also learned in the past couple of days is that a good thing for Deathrun is learning how and trying to remember how long traps take. So like, for example, if you're on one of those ones where all the glass goes back, you can know what time to jump. Now I'm a death here, so how I'm going to play the game is interesting. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a very good death, but I'm going to try my best. Boom. Don't wait for the top people, wait for the most people so you can get the most people. Now this trap almost has no point even hitting, because if you're a really good Deathrun player, you've probably memorized that already. And for some reason there's a surprising amount of sweats in Deathrun. Probably because it's an easy game to sweat. Ah, Lilies. Okay. Now something as well is you should probably try and predict when players are going to leave. That's really useful. And if you're a death, it'd be really good if you can work out how the other death is playing. So then you can see how that death or what that death is doing. Because if you've got a death that's constantly trying to do the same thing as you, it's not that good. You need to have a death, I recommend, of what I learned. You should probably have a death right at the top, getting all the good players, and then a death down the middle, getting the more players, slowing them down. I actually really like this strategy, and I quite enjoy playing death, even though I'm really not that good at it. It's something I genuinely quite enjoy. That's also a pretty useless trap, because you can just dodge it quite easily. And one of my complaints in the Hive video was that dodging traps is like non-existent. Traps would just kill you. And I said there feels like there's no real skill in avoiding these traps. Which it's still kind of true. I don't think avoiding the evoker trap has any skill involved, to be honest with you. I think but I think there's some traps you've got to learn the way that the death plays. And then once you learn the way the death plays, you can beat them easily. But in all seriousness, I really like this kind of strategy, and I think it's really cool. And I think having the leaf as an item is really interesting. And it's probably a good thing. I don't know if there was a period of time with Deathrun where the leap was non-existent, but if there was, imagine like trying to catch up. If you end up in the middle of the pack with a bunch of other people, something I've learned is that you have two ways to catch up. One, be good at parkour. Two, use your leaps at good timings. Now, the chance of there being a depth at the middle or back of the pack is lower than there being a death at the front of the pack. Often, you'll find deaths at the front of the pack where they're just trying to chase all the top players to stop anyone from finish. You can see here the deaths are doing exactly what I said deaths shouldn't do earlier in the video, or at least what I've learned from my experience. They're just running after the top player, which means all the other players in like second, third, fourth, and fifth can just keep running really easily. And if those players don't get out, they'll eventually overtake the first player. And then that first player will switch and the Deathrun will start targeting one person. So basically whoever's in fifth or whatever will probably win in that situation. Now, something I've also learned as well from Deathrun is that if you're in the middle of the pack, you're gonna want to really work on your parkour. Because, for example, in the parkour here, if I was in like 7th or 6th, getting that parkour is going to be quite useful. Because if you're in the position of 7th or 6th with someone who is normally in there, then they're probably not going to be the best at parkour. You know, they're probably going to be a kid on their mum's phone in a road trip, as me and my friends say. But at the end of the day, you still need to beat them. Because they still know how to sprint. And so do you. So, how are you going to sprint to beat them? Well, that's exactly the thing. You need to really learn the parkour. And then you really need to learn how to use your leaps. Something I really recommend is if you get one of those ones where there's walls. It's normally an evoker trap. It's very, very cool. If you get one of those ones where there's walls and an evoker trap, I don't know if you knew this, but you can actually leap over them. And like doing that, just dodged that. Doing that will allow you actually to probably gain quite a bit of speed because it will if you leap over the walls, the other people will have to walk around the walls, which actually adds quite a bit of time. So yeah, I was definitely wrong about Deathrun, and as you can see in this very yap-filled video, there's actually a lot of strategy involved in Deathrun that I've learned, and I actually really, really, really enjoy that. I think it's really fun, and I think it's done to the right level. Similar to one of the things I liked about Block Drop. Block Drop, you know, you can just play in the background. While you can focus on strategy, you can also just focus on just like playing it casually. It doesn't need too much thought. So yeah, I was definitely wrong about Deathrun, and maybe I was wrong about some other games. I'm considering to do a bunch of follow-ups about that one Hive video, doing a full depth analysis of the games that I was either wrong about or have more to say about. At the end of the day, I probably have more to say about Bed Wars and Capture the Flag, since those are some of my least favourite games. So, yeah, if you guys want to hear me yap more, then I'm up for it. I'm up for yapping even more. I could probably talk for ages about why I don't like capturing the flag. Because I have lots of reasons. And I've thought about it quite a bit. It was one of the games I thought about the most in the process of making the Hive Games Ranks video. Oh, the Seth's doing the thing again. He's doing the thing. Mate, you have a button. You can just teleport to the next trap. Okay. Yeah, no, I was definitely wrong about Deathrun. I might be wrong about some other games. If you want to see that, please check it out. Also, just want to mention the support, my channel growth. I mean, that Hive video did so well. So thank you so much to everyone who watched that or subscribed because of that video. Thank you so much, and please stay along for the ride. I might be posting music on this channel, but I might also make a separate channel for music because I want to do some music stuff as well because I like music and Minecraft. Yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!